Well, if anybody has a question, please, if we can, line up here in the middle, and we'll take them in order. There has to be a few.
I'm not offended with no questions, by the way.
I'll ask you one, Mr. Caldwell. How do you, when you're investing for yourself or you're advising others, how do you stay out of the emotion of when it's your own money versus it's always easier to advise others? That was your point number 6 that
well, you know, somehow you've got to disconnect emotionally. Whenever I invest my own money, I invest it in our own vehicles. So I'm investing in the same things our customers invest in. We don't do any underwriting and we don't do any corporate finance, so we don't have a conflict. So I always tell our young brokers 2 things. Put your customer first and yourself third. That's just in case you're too close at second. And the other one is, this is not a business of honesty, it's a business of rigorous honesty. Honesty, as I told the person, rigorous honesty, as I made sure they understood the important or the salient points. And if you get that right, you're 90% of the way there. But I don't invest in individual stocks. I don't want to get tripped up. For example, if we have a fund or a balance fund, I buy that or some equity. I just buy the same thing our investors invite it. And mind you, it doesn't make them feel better. You know, if the market's down, I say, well, I own the same thing. You know, that's like being on the deck of the Titanic with nice people. You know, it doesn't matter. So, but it somehow makes them feel. Get rid of the conflict. That's the basic thing. Yes, sir.
If you could just come to the microphone, sorry, so everybody can hear you.
Thanks very much. My name is Steve, and I'm from Australia.
I sense that.
In Australia, they've got the audacity to say that there might be a round 2 in this, a round 2 collapse. Now, I've only been here 3 days. I've been able to buy 3 or 4 Fords, a couple of Toyotas, no money down, interest free. We're about to buy a building downtown. It's interest free as well. Is there something still that we don't know? Is there a round 2 possible here?
I don't think anybody can preclude another hit. All I can say at the present time is there seems to be liquidity coming into the system. Money is available. They're trying to get the economy going, but inflation is not high. Interest rates are low, and the economy is slowly growing. Is it healthy growth? I don't know the answer to that. For example, in Ontario, we've had a bump because we had some tax benefits that are going to end with the HST and harmonized sales tax. So there's been a little bit of a skew to economic growth in the first half in this country. So I can't give you the answer to that. I don't think you can preclude it. But my point here is whatever we go through is not going to be as scary as what we went through. That was scary. I mean, the rest of it you can deal with. This is like aftershocks, and you can have some in it, and they can still be quite arresting. But the real stuff was a year and a half ago where the system literally froze. So it's a little bit different matter. Yes, sir.
It was probably the best emotion-detaining presentation I've heard on a very difficult topic, so congratulations.
Thank you. Coming from you, that's congratulations. I appreciate that.
But 2 questions. One on inflation, and second, taxation versus cutting and spending the government. So, first on inflation. When people look back at the housing market, the subprime, they're going to be asking, how in the world do we miss the fact that the subprime impact is going to have a devastating impact on the economy? And as I analyze what's happening in the world today, the same question keeps coming up with inflation. We'll be seeing inflation 5 years from now, the same thing which we're saying, what happened in the subprime market. The second question, very general, what would you recommend to governments all across the world? Tax increases, or a meaningful and substantial cuts in spending, including putting on social benefits?
Yeah. 2 things, answering the inflation question. A great concern everyone has is the amount of money that's being printed and thrown at this problem. The money supply has been growing dramatically, and it really is a reaction to on a moment where everything froze. Get liquidity into the system. Now, typically when you print a whole bunch of money, it's about a year and a half out before it starts to have inflationary bubble to it. And my sense is at some point we are going to have inflation back, and we're going to have to jack up interest rates to deal with it. So that's going to be there at some point, whether that's 6 months, 9 months, or 4 years from now. That's kind of coming. At least the pressure. I don't know that we're going to go back to the hyperinflation we had back in the 80s, but there will be inflationary pressures, but it's not there today, and it won't be there for the long enough time horizon I can work with. If I had to ask governments what to do, the easiest thing is to increase taxes. That's the easiest thing. And frankly, governments see the citizenry of any country as an unending resource of revenues, and they've got to stare down. I mean, we saw in Toronto the garbage strike. That should have been a finish it. Go to private contracting and finish it. Governments have got to start to show some guts on the spending side and not throw money around like drunken sailors, who, by the way, spend their own money, not others. And so I think they've got to do something on this. I would really try to put government's feet to the fire and saying, "No, you're getting enough of the pie." Now, maybe in the States but the U.S. tax system is so complex. My sense is that I would rather see government focus on the spending side for a while, and then we can start to simplify taxes at some juncture. That would be Mr. Harper hasn't called me, but if he does, that would be my advice to him. Thank you.
I just had a question about Macedonia and the EU, and I was wondering if Macedonia did...
You're going to have to speak up a little bit for him.
If Macedonia did succeed in getting past the obstacles that it's facing, enter the EU, enter NATO and other organizations like that, how would that affect the decisions being made at private investment firms such as yours when we look at countries and analyze them
I would have said getting into the EU 6 months ago would be a really good move. I would just slow down on the application for a little bit. But my sense is the EU is going to get this sorted out. The Germans are going to pour the money in there, or the French, maybe, you never know that crew. But they're going to pour the money in there, but they're going to put lots of strings attached to it that people can't be fiddling around with the books. So I think that would be a positive. NATO, I know a little bit about NATO because I'm involved in this defense thing, and NATO is trying to re-examine what they want to do now that the Russian tanks are going to break down before they make the channel. So there's not the same enemies. So you got to decide what is NATO, what's its shape going to look at, and I think they're going through an identity crisis right now and will be for a little while. But a euro will be a good thing to do, but as I say, you don't have to rush it. But and I think that will happen eventually, anyway. Thank you.